What's the first thing you should do after creating a new AWS account? My name's David Staples, and that's what we're talking about today, and coming right up. So when you first create a new AWS account, you're going to log in using a username and password, which we created in the last video. So if you haven't watched that video yet and you need to create a new AWS account, you might want to go watch that one and then come back here. So the very first thing that you need to do, obviously we need to sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in to the AWS Management Console here using the account that we just created in that last video. So let's just go ahead and click on next. It's got my username and password memorized in my web browser, but of course, that's not super secure, right? So I want to add multi-factor authentication is what we're looking for here. So to do that, I need to go into a service called Identity and Access Management. So this is the console that you'll see when you first log in. Now, since this is a brand new account, it's probably going to have some little tips here on how to use it. I don't really need those because I teach this stuff on a pretty regular basis. So I'm just going to click on Next here and then click on Done and then Done to go ahead and get rid of these other little pop-ups as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to come into the Identity and Access Management Service known as IAM. So I can come right up here to the search box and just type in IAM. You'll notice that it pops up a services list here that are matching my criteria, matching the pattern of what I typed in. So I'm just going to click on IAM right there. And so now you'll notice that from a security recommendation standpoint, it is also recommending that, hey, you might want to come in and add MFA or multi-factor authentication for your root user. That way, if someone was to guess your password, maybe you're using that same password in 50 other websites or 100 plus other websites, and it's gotten or that one of those other websites has gotten compromised, and so now your password and email address combination are fairly well known to different hackers or attackers groups here. So we want to add another step to the login process here just to make sure that somebody can't come in and maybe boot up a whole bunch of servers running some Bitcoin mining operations or something like that, right? So let's go ahead and click on Add MFA. And so what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to choose what type of device I want to use for multi-factor authentication. So this does have both hardware and software support here. So the next thing that I need to do is go ahead and put in a device name. We're just going to call this David's iPad because this is what I'm using for my MFA device. I could use my iPhone as well, but I'm just basically naming it iPad because that's what I've got sitting right here. So the next thing that we're going to choose, am I using an authenticator app, a security key, or hardware TOTP token? For our purposes, I'm demoing the authenticator app, so I'll go ahead and click on Next. Now, I'm just using the Google authenticator app, but we do have support on AWS for a number of different options there. So you'll notice that it mentions Google Authenticator, Dual Mobile, or Authy on your devices. See a list of compatible applications. Then from here, it's going to ask me to show QR code. So I'll go ahead and open the Authenticator app. I've got it actually already open up over here to the side. Then we can use the app to scan the code, or you can type a secret key. So I'm just going to go ahead and say show QR code. And then over in the app, I'm going to hit the plus button and tell it to scan the QR code. At that point, it's asking for access to the camera. So let's go ahead and come over here and scan that. And so now it is asking if I'm enjoying the authenticator. Now is not a good time. But as you can see, it has now added a new listing for Amazon Web Services here. And I'm going to blur some of this other stuff out because not really relevant and probably not a good idea to show all that information out to you guys, right? So it's going to ask me to fill in 2 consecutive codes from your MFA device, and just to make sure that we are actually using a legitimate device here. So the first code that I'm going to put in here is currently being displayed on the screen, and now I have to wait for that 60-second timeout for it to display the next code. So it will be just a moment here while that goes through and times out. And now I'll put in this next code. There we go. And so now I click Add MFA. And so it says that we have added multi-factor credentials to the root account for our AWS account. So let's go ahead and actually test that out. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this little notification here. Click on my demo account name that we set in that last video and tell it to sign out. And now I'm going to go ahead and tell it to sign back into the console. We'll put in my credentials here. The next, leave the password. And now you'll notice that as part of an additional step, it's asking for the MFA code. So I'm going to come over here to my Google Authenticator app. I'm going to type in the one that is currently being displayed there and click on Submit. And that's going to allow me to log in. So again, that is probably one of the most critical things that you should be setting up after you create a new AWS account. So we're going to continue on with some more videos talking about the AWS platform. We're eventually going to get into some Google Cloud Platform and some Microsoft Azure and perhaps some other cloud stuff here as well. So until the next video, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. That helps me out with the algorithms. If you've got any questions, certainly feel free to leave those in the comment box down below. I look forward to seeing you guys in a future video. So thanks for watching.